You're listening to the Fan Club Podcast, where two polar opposites discover each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Fan Club Podcast. My name is Matthew.
And this is Sarah, and today is episode 45.
So today's episode is Thor Love and Thunder.
So if you do not follow us on Instagram, you may have missed this.
So we are changing our release schedule. We are going to every other week for right now, just because of my new work schedule.
He works nights now.
Yes.
So things are, and we have a toddler, and things are just.
Yeah, so
it's a work-life balance. We need to do this in order to survive.
Yes. It just for the foreseeable future until we can figure out a excellent schedule. And we are holding off on doing Miss Marvel and She-Hulk right now to try to until we have more time.
Because so back in November when we did our TV show month,
it took a lot of time, planning,
effort, editing. It was a lot of work.
Yes.
Keep in mind we were also doing it for a solid month. So that's a little different, but TV shows are, because you think about it, it's 3 hour long episodes. So effectively it's triple the workload.
Yeah, each Marvel show has 6 episodes. So that's 6 hours to watch. That's probably 4 or 5 hours of raw footage, and it's about 10 hours to edit all that.
Yeah. So, it isn't necessarily for right now possible for us to get those out right now.
And we just want them to be the best that they can. We don't want them to seem rushed or forced or pushed or anything like that. We want them to be as genuine as possible.
And to be honest with you, it takes a lot less time for us to invest in watching a 2-hour movie than it does for us to watch 6 episodes of a show.
Yeah.
We can kind of squeeze it into an evening.
Or we can do it start it in the early afternoon and end it in the evening or whatever.
So that's kind of what this is going to be. And then we're also in the process of planning out our 2023, and there are going to be a lot of really fun things this year. I don't want to give too much away.
It's going to be a lot of themed months. We are still covering the Marvel as they come out, but we will also be covering other stuff when they come out as well.
In April and May is when we're doing our Harry Potter episodes. We basically we're still tying into fandoms.
We're just trying
to find smaller fandoms.
Because Marvel will still be continuing. We're not stopping Marvel.
But it's just we're gonna come to a point where we're running out of stuff.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna guarantee when we're gonna come back to Miss Marvel and She-Hulk.
We will eventually. But as of right now, we knew we were going to run out of Marvel stuff eventually.
And we never sought out to be like a strictly MCU podcast.
It
just kind of ended up being that way.
Like the original plan was, we're still going to do Marvel when it comes out. We're not ever going to stop.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll kind of get to the point when like Quantumania comes out, for example, to be able to cover it when everybody else is covering it.
It may take 2 or 3 weeks for us to be able to go see it with my work schedule.
We're also very excited to bring you stuff like Knives Out and like
the Scream franchise,
and we want to cover National Treasure and like a couple of other things that we're really excited about. Also, we wanted to cover new releases such as the Barbie movie that's coming out this summer.
Scream 6.
Yeah, so we're kind of halfway in between a fandom podcast and a film review podcast, I guess, in the coming year. We have a lot of really exciting things in the pipeline, and I totally get if that's not your jam, but like we're really excited about it. So
yes, we're trying new things to try to get not more listeners, but try to
bring in new people.
Yes.
But first and foremost, our podcast is about the love of these fandoms, and even one-off movies have fandoms. So
Yes. They're still cult classics like
Clue and
Clue, Spaceballs, and Men in Tights, and a bunch of other movies.
so that's pretty much it for the housekeeping aspect of things. We just we need to have some work-life balance, and this is just the best thing for us. So, this week we are doing Thor Love and Thunder. Then the next week we will take a week off, and then after that, the first week in February
Yeah,
will
February
be
6th.
Wakanda Forever,
Yes.
which I'm very excited to see.
Yes.
So, Thor Love and Thunder, released in 2022 and directed by Taika Waititi. And overall, how did you feel about this movie?
I really liked it.
This might be a hot take. I think I liked this installment better than Ragnarok.
Really?
Yeah.
I liked Ragnarok more for nostalgia for me.
I mean, nostalgia
Because
definitely
it
plays.
was, besides Ant-Man, we never really had a comedic
I think that
Marvel movie.
I think that this movie did a really good job at the comedy. It actually was genuinely really funny.
Yeah.
Without being annoying about it.
Like, all the Marvel movies had comedic points.
And listen, I ran across a while back. I ran across a trailer. I usually avoid trailers.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it kind of warps your perception of the movie.
Yeah.
But I ran across a trailer for this movie, I think on Facebook a while back, and I think it was after we had watched Ragnarok. So I was
Maybe.
and
Or it popped up on your YouTube or something.
I was not excited about it. I thought that the trailer made it in the movie seem a lot cringier than it actually ended up being.
Yeah.
I wasn't really that excited about it, so I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I will say that being said, I really liked the beginning like third of the movie and the last third of the movie.
Yeah.
The middle chunk was just so-so for
It
me.
it dragged. Not a
Yeah,
whole lot happened.
it was just kind of like meh.
It was building.
The the climax, I
It
guess.
was more plot building, was what it was.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it was bad. It
No,
just
it wasn't bad at all. It was just, it didn't, for me, it
it
didn't.
didn't fit.
No. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It was a different vibe.
It because the beginning and the end are so funny. It was like
It
almost like
felt like there was a different director for the middle.
or it felt like it just kind of felt very like jarring almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. I but I really liked the framing device of like Korg telling the kids the story
Yes.
of Thor. I thought that that was really fun. It reminded me a little bit of how the movie In the Heights is structured. Not in the sense of like the story, obviously,
No, I know what you mean,
but
but
like
like he's
Usnavi is telling the story to the kids. And there's other story like Princess Bride's framed the exact same way.
I for me with Clark's storytelling, it's more like Louise from Ant-Man.
Yeah, well, in the very beginning I said this is giving Olaf recounting
Yes.
Frozen 1.
Yeah, I get that 100%. Yeah, I get that, but it's the same comedic feel from
Like it's well
Louise.
established. I love Taika Waititi, and I think he's genuinely really funny.
Mhm.
Um, I think he has a way of his line deliveries that are very off the cuff, but it doesn't seem like he actually seems like he knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people who are off the cuff and very like ad libby, it feels very like directionless.
it feels forced.
I don't think Taika Waititi is one of those people.
Kind of like how the
Maybe
first,
it's probably because he directed it and knew what he
yes,
was doing.
but kind of like how the first Iron Man, a lot of it was ad-libbed. Kind of because the first Iron Man, kind of like what we've talked about, had no script. The script was like made after the movie was done.
Well, and what's interesting about this movie, and I've definitely complained about other MCU movies in the past relying a little too heavily on the comedy and it feeling a little bit tedious
Yeah,
at times. I don't think that this movie felt that way. I think maybe because I have historically not loved the Thor franchise,
Yeah.
that this was a welcome shift.
Uh-huh.
The movie starts with we are introduced to our villain right off the bat, Gore, played by Christian Bale, which you had to tell me that was Christian Bale because I couldn't.
You did, yeah.
I didn't. You can, if you pay attention to his teeth, it's very Christian Bale.
Uh-huh.
But like otherwise, they did a bang up makeup job on him.
Yeah.
So he's walking through the desert carrying a child,
Mm-hmm.
and the little girl dies. And it's because it's exposure, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
And he hears a whisper, and it leads him to a jungle, and he finds water, and he finds a bunch of gods, including Rapu, which is the sun god, I think.
Which is the god that guess his tribe worshipped.
Yes. And I looked it up. This god does not exist in any sort of mythology.
Just
It's an MCU creation.
based on just like the headdress and everything, I am guessing like
It's based on like Raw, I think.
but the headdress would not have fit. I mean, all cultures had a sun god.
Yeah.
Like Apollo was the sun god of Greek mythology. Ra is the sun god of Egyptian and a bunch others. So just based on like the god's outfit and headdress and all that, I'm guessing like Incan, Aztecan, maybe.
I mean, that's just pure speculation because he doesn't exist.
No, he doesn't exist. I'm just basing it maybe like from the Amazon era, like from like the geographically maybe around the Amazon.
I don't know. We'll never know.
But that's just what my speculation is, just based on the headdress and how he looked.
And then we basically learn about the Necro Sword.
So the Necro Sword, I could have an entire episode on our Patreon about the Necro Sword. There's a lot to unpack. The Necro Sword originally was owned by the Symbiote King, who made Venom, essentially.
Okay.
Off of the symbiote world, which I do not recall off top of my head. It's been a while since I read anything about it, but he made the Necro Sword. The Necro Sword is as old as time itself, like the Eternals, like the Celestials, the Infinity Stones, all that. It's just another ancient relic. Kind of like the Ten Rings from Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
It's just an ancient relic that's been around since the dawn of time. It's the only thing that can really kill a god, essentially.
So the voice that's been whispering to him, which is giving Basilisk in the Wall of Hogwarts talking to Harry. I don't know why that's where my brain went, but that's what it was reminding me of.
Yeah.
When Harry's like in detention with Lockhart and it's like
Yeah.
"Ah."
Yeah.
So the voice basically is telling him to go to eternity and kill all of the gods.
No, he wants to kill all the gods.
That's what the voice is telling him though.
I'll talk about eternity later in a little bit more detail.
And the Necro Sword chooses him.
The Necro Sword is attracted to evil, and so it was attracted to him.
What is that thing? Oh, it's the super serum that's like it makes you more of what you already are.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. It brings out your best and worst qualities.
And then we have the Marvel theme, but to the tune of an electric guitar.
Which
I initially didn't realize it was even the Marvel theme because sometimes they'll do like another song in place of the Marvel theme.
not anymore. They'll do like with Phase 4 on, they try to do the Marvel theme, but in different ways.
Like a twist.
Yes. But this
I didn't recognize it at first, and then I was like, this sounds vaguely familiar.
I just liked I like all of the music that have been in this phase.
Well, I think the Thor movies specifically are kind of known for their use of classic rock.
Now they are.
Yeah.
With
Well, no, I mean
Ragnarok.
with Ragnarok. I think
But
Taika Waititi, I should say, is known for using classic rock.
really the only classic rock song that was in Ragnarok was Valhalla.
No, Foreigner. Immigrant Song.
Immigrant Song. That's really the only rock song that's in. But I think they went with this direction because the Guardians were in it. And the Guardians have all of, like...
The music references.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not know that the Guardians were in this
He's been
movie.
riding with the Guardians since...
No, it makes sense, but I for some reason didn't...
I just like how he's called a space Viking.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. Also, my phone autocorrects Korg to Jorge. Just thought you should know that.
Okay. So Jorge's telling the story of...
He is Jorge from now on.
He's literally telling the story of everyone that Thor has lost in the funniest way possible. He talks about losing Loki like 3 times. So, can Thor, who all in the MCU can see Thestrals?
Oh, that's a great question.
Who all could see Thestrals?
Thor.
Thor, of course. Captain America.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I don't think he's actually experienced
Well,
this.
anybody that witnessed Tony dying.
So, everyone.
So then we learn that he can ride Stormbreaker like a broomstick. I really like the outfits that the blue alien guys have. They're really fun.
I was thinking they look like an animal cone.
Well, I was gonna say that kind of looks like the costumes were made from like things that they found in a Home Depot. It reminds me a little bit of, so if anybody's ever seen a season of Project Runway, they do a episode of that show that is like can't remember what they call it. It's like an anything but fabric challenge.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Like they have to be resourceful and use other materials.
Yeah.
And that's what it reminded me of.
Kind of like what Zoolander did.
The outfit that Thor changes into for this little battle thing is very I rated Star-Lord's closet. Am I wrong?
No. Here's the thing, Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pratt aren't the same build.
No, not at all. I feel like Pratt's pants would be like so tight on Hemsworth.
Yes.
He's a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
So then he fights these like owl-looking creatures.
I don't even know what they are. They look like these...
They look like they just should be out of Star Wars or something.
I was just playing a game where you fought them. A thing that looked like, and I don't remember which game it was.
But they look like baby owls to me.
They looked like, for people who know what the gremlins look like, think that, but furry.
With bird faces.
But, yeah, with a bird face gremlin that has fur. Is that
Look
wrong?
like owls.
No! They didn't look like owls to me.
I don't know enough about Star Wars to know what they would be called, but like they do look like some kind of a Star Wars creature.
They had, like, the same height as the Ewoks.
So growing up, we had a Shih Tzu. Or I had a Shih Tzu when I was growing up, I should say. And like we had some family friends that always called him Little Ewok because he looked like an Ewok. This whole battle inadvertently destroys this temple on this random alien planet.
Yeah, because Thor flies through the temple after the person is saying, like, he's going for the temple. I hope he's not going for the temple. It's sacred. And then the temple shatters. And he is called the God of Destruction.
And then we flash to Jane Foster, and she is getting an MRI because she has cancer. And she is desperate to find a cure, and she basically finds that Mjolnir
is calling her. Oh, we also see Darcy again.
Yes.
Which I wish she had a bigger role in this movie.
But the book basically says that Mjolnir, like,
will heal you.
Yeah. And then we go to New Asgard, which is now a tourist attraction. It's very theme parky.
Where it has rides. And we see Matt Damon again.
And we get a cameo from, I believe, Melissa McCarthy as Hela. This movie is so funny, especially in this part.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really liked the New Asgard with the...
Because before it was just like a fishing village.
Yeah, but I also I love that they've created this like tourism. It feels a little capitalistic, but you know, like whatever, that's the world we live in.
Did you see the ice cream shop's name?
Yeah, Infinity Cones.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw something about that on maybe Twitter.
Yeah, so people weren't very happy that Marvel did that because people were saying it was the worst event that happened in MCU history.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit odd. I'm just gonna say this, but I think the tweet was referencing like this is their equivalent if they made an ice cream shop themed after 9/11.
It's a little weird,
It's a little,
but I like a good pun.
yeah, but like when you put it in that perspective, it feels a little weird.
Yeah, but I mean, also at the end of the day,
It's just a movie,
Yeah.
so like don't think too deeply about it.
yeah,
But I can understand why some people like are kind of peeved by it.
yeah. They better
There's
have like strawberry for oobleck, blueberry for
so
the.
to any of our new listeners, and you don't get the Oobleck reference, just go back and listen to our Thor Dark World episode. That's all I'm gonna say.
They better have strawberry for oobleck. They better have.
They better color code those flavors.
Yes.
Um,
Grape for.
but we can't have, you know how every ice cream shop has a Superman flavor and it's like the blue and yellow swirl.
Yeah.
It's the wrong franchise. We can't do Superman flavor. We gotta rebrand it. We gotta call it like
What would be. So help me.
it's like the
And
Captain America flavor.
for the time stone, it would be funny if they put actual time in it.
Okay, that is funny though. It's probably one of those like you know those like fancy ice cream stores that like have like lavender flavored ice cream and stuff?
Yes.
Like it's probably one of
It's
those.
not that. They wouldn't have a fancy one in a tourist trap.
This is true. But I'm just
So I'm
saying
guessing
that's exactly the type of pun that this franchise would do though. Let us know
what you think the
what
flavors would be
let us know what you think Infinity Cone's flavor roster would be.
just for the Infinity Stones. You don't have to come up with random flavors just for the
Or just
6
give
stones.
us your best puns.
Give us your best puns or whatever.
Ooh, I think for the reality stone, it should be like strawberry with like a raspberry swirl.
Mhm.
So there's like
Yeah, dark red within lighter red.
yeah.
And then, I mean,
I feel like
Power Stone needs to be grape. There's nothing else really purple flavor wise.
I mean blueberries end up turning purple.
No, blueberry would be better for Space Stone.
Yeah, but it's not strictly blue. I think
Ooh, blue raspberry.
yeah, I was gonna say blue raspberry would be a really good.
Maybe a raspberry with like. No, it has to be bright blue though.
I know,
So yeah, blue raspberry.
like the color of like a blue raspberry icy that you get like the movie theater,
Mhm.
like that.
Green apple.
Lemon.
No, green apple for time.
I still like your time.
Limeade.
I still like your time pun. I like a limoncello for the Mind Stone.
Yeah, and then orange for orange. Can't think of
Like an
any.
orange sherbet.
Is that really how you say it? I thought it was sorbet.
No, there's sorbet, and then there's sherbet, and then there's sherbet.
Oh,
They're all three different things. I think sherbet has dairy in it.
yeah, and then sorbet doesn't.
Maybe it's just sorbet and sherbet. I don't think sherbet is a thing. I don't know. I should know, being a lactose intolerant person, I should know what has dairy in it and what doesn't.
We're going on the weirdest tangents in this episode.
Jane then sees Mjolnir, like the remnants of
Mew
Mjolnir.
Mew.
Mew Mew.
It's Mew Mew or nothing.
She sees Mjolnir in a case, Mew Mew in a case, and the remnants kind of move.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get introduced to the screaming goats.
And Thor gets called the god of destruction.
I love the screaming goats. They definitely harken back to that meme from 2013.
So the screaming goats was supposed to be a secret until the movie release, but Lego sort of spoiled it when
They dropped the ball.
Lego spoils everything. Like, oh my gosh, Lego spoils so much for the MCU. Because the Lego sets go live on their website like months before the movie releases. Before the Legos release. They go on the website. And so everything gets spoiled through Lego.
I don't know. The screaming goats are giving me that
The
that
2013
rendition of "I Knew You Were Trouble" by Taylor Swift with the screaming goats. If you had an internet connection in 2013, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sif then sends a distress signal.
There's like 1,300 distress signals, and Lady Sif is one of them. And she gets her arm cut off, and she's like,
"Arm is in Valhalla.
Your arm's in Valhalla now." She's like, "I get to go to Valhalla now?" He's like, "No, you have to die in battle."
I do really like this interaction between Thor and Star-Lord. Say what you want about Star-Lord, I think this interaction is very sweet, though. Like, just moments of friendship in these movies.
Thor was being weird in this scene. It's like, I'm giving you my ship. It's
my ship.
It's not, you're giving me my ship. Yes.
But I also think Star-Lord has some really good advice, though.
I feel like that entire scene was ad-libbed.
Oh, I don't doubt it. But I think he has some really interesting advice, though, because he's basically talking about how finding love and then losing it is better than never finding love at all.
Yeah.
And you gotta go through the crappy parts with people.
Yeah, you have to go through the hardships to get to the good.
And I think that that's a really valuable lesson for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know you don't like Star-Lord, but I love the moments of pure friendship.
I mean, the reason why I don't like Star-Lord is because he is solely the reason why Thanos won.
A lot of media tends to lean more into they give more time to romance as opposed to friendship.
And there was some romance. There was romance.
So basically we learn that Gore is the God Butcher.
Yes.
Which we already knew, but like the characters are learning this. And that he's after them.
He's killing gods on all planets and realms and everything.
So Thor goes to New Asgard. And
the town's being attacked.
Yeah. And he finds Mjolnir and
Mew.
And he finds Jane in full Thor regalia.
Yes.
And I love the way that he talks to Mew Mew as like an ex. And that like Stormbreaker is like jealous.
Stormbreaker is jealous.
It's funny though.
It is. That they have a mind of their own.
So Korg basically then tells everybody like the
story behind Thor and
Jane breaking up.
Jodie Foster.
Jane Fonda. And
it is funny.
He basically makes Mew Mew like promise to protect her, and then it glows with like the symbol.
So whenever Jane got sick, I'm guessing it was talking to her the entire time, but she never realized it until she saw the book with Mjolnir in it.
So then Gore shows up to the New Asgard, and he basically kidnaps all the kids, including, which I didn't make this connection until the end, that because it's a tourist attraction and people come from all over the place, he's also kidnapping a bunch of like alien kids.
Yes.
So you end up with this group of kids that's like pretty diverse.
But I'm guessing some of those kids live there.
Well, yeah, no, and some of them are Asgardian.
No, what I'm saying is I'm guessing some of the alien kids live there as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing it's a tourist trap for humans. I'm guessing.
You don't think that... I don't think most people would have the means to travel intergalactically.
Yeah. But also,
I don't know.
The borders are open.
That does make me question what the... like travel and commerce and stuff looks like in this world.
But here's the thing. The GRC bill never passed.
It does make me wonder,
the borders
though,
are open.
Because, okay, so we saw cruise ships and things, but I imagine that's just mainly for the Earth, the Terrans or whatever.
The Terrans, yeah.
And so I wonder if, like, there's basically an equivalent to, like, commercial flights, but, like, intergalactically.
I doubt it. In all honesty, because Earth is so far behind most other planets.
But I think that could be an interesting thing to explore. Or at least touch on.
Yeah, that could be interesting. But with Earth so far technologically behind everyone else, I doubt aliens are lining up to come to Earth. I doubt it.
So, are we just kind of led to believe that these alien kids are like Earthlings now?
No, they just live on Earth.
No, that's what I mean, that they live in New Asgard.
Yeah. I'm guessing there were aliens that were living in Asgard.
There's this line about, like, yeah, I get it, your ex-girlfriend and your ex-hammer.
Your ex-girlfriend and your ex-weapon are hanging out together. I bet that feels weird or something like that. And Dora's like, no, it doesn't feel weird. It's fine.
And
Everything's
then
fine.
we meet Axel,
Yes.
who is Heimdall's son, and he has Heimdall's power of being able, like, his magic eyes.
Or he's learning how to use Heimdall's powers.
And, so Thor basically can see where the kids are.
Yes. So, Thor's kid. Whenever Thor has a kid in the future, would their last name be Thorson? Like, Heimdall's, it's... Heimdallson. Which is a medieval thing, like like Johnson or Williamson, things like that. So, Thor is Thor Odinson. So, would Thor's kid be Matthew Thorson?
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but, like, she calls him Uncle Thor.
No, I know that, but in the comics, Thor does have a kid.
Yeah.
Or even in the game God of War, Thor has a kid, but I don't remember her last name off top of my head. I think it is Thorson, I believe, would be it.
I don't know. The origins of last names are so fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because my last name doesn't have an origin to our knowledge.
Every last name has an origin.
Yeah, we can't find it. So then Jane then goes to the bathroom and she has a flashback to her mom dying of cancer.
Yes.
Which is really sad. Gore's just, like, tormenting these kids for fun. Like...
Gore's also a weird person. Just saying.
I still can't wrap my brain around the fact that that's Christian Bale.
I can. He plays weird roles.
So then the gang goes to Omnipotence City.
Yes.
And they disguise themselves as the emotion gods.
Which, this is probably my favorite part of the film.
Yeah. I love all the introductions of all the gods, including the dumpling god.
Yes. Bao, the dumpling god. And it was just
some throwaway jokes.
And it was just this animated...
It's very heavily
dumpling.
green screen.
It's just this animated dumpling in a skillet.
It's so weird.
But it fits the movie so well. And then we also saw Ninny Ninny.
I love that this is their version of medieval times. Matthew has now been to.
Yeah.
We went there on New Year's Day with my family, and Matthew had never been. What was your overall...
It was okay, to be honest.
He loved the food.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fun time if you lean into the weird. Definitely has gone down in quality since I was a kid, for sure. Or you just grow up. But yeah, this scene reminded me of medieval times for some reason. Just with all the screaming and the cheering and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just missing some jousting and some, eating chicken with your hands. So they ask Zeus for help, and it doesn't go well.
And Zeus pretty much says, an Asgardian problem is for Asgardians.
This is really embarrassing, but I thought that this guy who plays Zeus, who I now know is Russell Crowe, but I thought it was the guy who played Robert Baratheon in the first season of Game of Thrones.
I don't know what he's doing anymore.
I have no idea, but initially, that's who I thought it was, but it's Russell Crowe. I thought that Zeus killed Korg.
Yeah.
I think that the fandom would riot if they killed Korg. And I literally have a line that says, "Oh good, he's not dead."
Yeah, so his people, I don't remember Korg's race off the top of my head.
So Thor kills Zeus, and then Valkyrie basically puts Korg on the back of Valkyrie's head, like on the back of her head.
Yeah.
And ties his face into her hair, basically.
Yes.
And then we get Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. So Korg is a Cronian.
Oh yeah, he said that.
I just couldn't remember off the top of my head.
And then Thor goes to check in with the kids. There's this really sweet scene between Thor and Jane where he professes his love to her and she tells him that she has cancer.
Yeah. Which I'm like, lady, There's probably a time and place to tell him that. Not when he says, I love you.
And this is kind of where the first third ends and the middle third begins.
Yes.
Where I kind of stopped liking
where it got weird. It was a very different vibe. It turned into like a horror movie at this point.
Go to the Shadow Realm, and there's no color except for the weapons.
Or when the weapons light up.
Well, and I really love the way that this specific shot is shot, where Jane is using Mew Mew as a flashlight, and everything lit by it is in color.
Yeah.
But, like, so you can see, like, the light kind of shining on her face, and you can see, like, the color of her hair, but everything else is in black and white. And I think that that's really cool.
I mean, it was the same with the Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I just thought that that was really clever. I thought, like, color grading and the editing in that scene was really well done.
Yeah, like...
technologically speaking.
I'm not a huge fan of... Like, I grew up watching black and white movies, like the old Hitchcocks and stuff.
I've never seen this movie, but I know a lot of people love it, is Sin City.
Where
Sin
it's City was really cool.
Where it's very selective color.
It was color on certain things, so like...
Like, blood is red, and, like, somebody's lipstick.
Always.
Somebody's lipstick.
Blood's not always red. It depended on the scene. Like, have you seen Green Mile?
Mm-mm.
The
big black guy?
Yes. He was in, Sin City, and he had one gold eye. And so, like, the only thing in color on him was his eye.
I know there's a character with, like, bright red lipstick.
Yes, she's a villain. Usually it's the villains that will have, like, a spot of color.
Yeah.
Generally.
But I think some things that, like, when they do stuff like that, like very visual cues.
Yes.
I think that that's really fun. That's really about the only thing I liked in this entire sequence. So we learn that the children are not there.
Yeah, the children were just bait.
And that the Bifrost is the key to opening...
Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker is the key, which means Norse mythology is the most important mythology in the world, or in the universe, essentially. Stormbreaker is needed, so it was prophesied that Thor would lose Mjolnir and get Stormbreaker. So it's been prophesied. So, back to... I don't like that I keep bringing this up, but back to Loki. Everything's on a set path. So is it really a prophecy? Or is it something that is true?
Realistically, all of the MCU going forward, almost all of it, hinges on either WandaVision or Loki.
Not WandaVision anymore. Not so much.
A lot of things.
WandaVision sort of ended with Doctor Strange.
This is true. But a lot of things at this point hinge on Loki.
Yes. The events of Loki were essential for the rest of the multiverse saga.
Yeah. I think at the very least, I think it's a valuable use of your time, but at the very least, watch like the last episode.
No, watch the last two.
Because...
watch the last three.
I mean, I think you should watch the whole thing.
Yes, watch all of Loki.
But...
pay attention to the last 3 episodes.
But, like, especially that conversation at the end.
Yes.
With He Who Remains is, like, crazy important going forward.
Yes. And don't watch the Quantumania until you watch Loki. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. Go listen to our Loki episode.
Or watch, like a new Rockstar's, like, recap video on it. Because, like, it's a lot of valuable information.
We watch a lot of new Rockstar videos before we record or we didn't today, but we normally do just in case if we missed a little Easter egg or a little something.
I guarantee you anybody listening to this knows who he is, but Eric Voss does a lot of, who's the guy at New Rockstars, he does a lot of, he's a big comic nerd as well, so he does a lot of Easter eggs, like little subtle things, but also ties in the comics of like, this means this is a reference to this, it fleshes out the movie, I think, a little more, and things you definitely missed going forward.
Yes, like it helps us, because usually when we're watching, it's usually during the day, we're taking care of our kid, or like taking notes or whatever, so we do miss stuff, and watching his videos it is beneficial to us.
He makes me almost like look out for things now.
Yes.
But yeah.
While we're giving out shout-outs or whatever.
I mean, he does not need our shout-out.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, while we're talking about other YouTubers and stuff, we are going to be on a Mr. Marvel Minutes episode in the next...
We're recording it this upcoming Wednesday. I'm not sure when he's putting it out.
Yes. But we'll let you know when it will go up so that you can also check out his content.
It's going to be a round table of a bunch of other people that you probably know. I imagine, like, a lot of people who follow us follow him, too.
And so...
just keep an eye out for that, and we'll let you know when it does go live. We'll post about it on our socials.
Yeah, and there's going to be people that we've had on our podcast there as well. Some of the people that are on it, you've heard before through our podcast.
Mm-hmm. That's what I love about this community is that we've met and talked to so many different types of podcasts. You know, like I really enjoy like a lot of, I've had to kind of hold back on listening to some of our friends' episodes only because they're spoilers.
Yes.
A lot of people do very topical things that are coming out right now, so I've had to hold off.
Which
I'm nearly caught up though, so I don't really have to be as careful.
Yes. You had to be really careful, like, 3 months ago.
Gore is, like, being super creepy in this scene.
Gore's just super creepy. I mean, Gore's just a super creepy villain. Anyway. Like, he's
so weird in this scene. Like, it was very uncomfortable. He was giving... There are certain moments where I was getting, like, a lot of Voldemort vibes. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, on a creep factor, yes. Completely different motives.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking motives. I'm just talking the way that, like, he monologues, the way that he, like...
But also remember, he's, like, 1,000 years old.
So then Valkyrie then stabs Gore... Or, sorry. Gore stabs Valkyrie, which I thought he killed her initially.
With the Necro... Or... Was it the Necro Sword?
I thought so.
It might have been with the Lightning Bolt. Yeah, it was with the Lightning Bolt.
And I thought that they killed her, and I was about to be like, well, that's a bold move. And so then Valkyrie then stabs Gore with Zeus's bolt. Or maybe it's the other way around.
It's the other way around. Gore stabs her with the Thunderbolt, which is... Because if you get stabbed with the Necro Sword, you die. You just die. There's no, like, if, ands, or buts.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
And then they call the Bifrost and escape, but Gore steals Stormbreaker.
Yes.
And they land in New Asgard, and Jane has lost her powers.
Yes, so the weapon is stealing her mortal soul, essentially. Mjolnir is essentially weakening her mortal self. And the more she uses Mjolnir, and the longer, the worse the cancer gets because her body can't fight it. So the opposite of Deadpool. Deadpool has cancer, but the healing factor in him is fighting the cancer as fast as it's growing. So his body is at a stalemate. I really think you would like Deadpool. I really think you would. It has Ryan Reynolds.
I love Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
I'm just not a big fight scene person. They don't do anything.
I wouldn't call them a fight scene. I would just call them a murderous rampage scenes.
Those scenes don't do anything for me. So Gore then needs Stormbreaker to access the Bifrost. To access Eternity. Because we learn that the Gate of Eternity is at the center of the universe.
Yes, which makes sense when you think about it. Because the center of the universe is the oldest thing ever.
Thor arrives at the gate, and the kids are there, and he then empowers all of the kids with his lightning powers.
Which, why didn't he do this versus Thanos?
Pick your faves. My favorite is the bunny girl, or the little girl with the magic princess wand.
I like the bunny one because it shoots lasers out of the eyes, and I think that is cool.
I love how she's like spinning around, screaming, going.
My favorite one is, I like Axel.
I love the little girl with the fairy princess wand that cuts the thing in half.
Mm-hmm. And then I like the one that has like the whips.
Oh yeah.
Like, so Thor has had these powers forever to imbue anyone. Why didn't he imbue everyone in the Battle of in Endgame with the power of Thor? They would have decimated Thanos, like, immediately if everyone had lightning powers. It would have been amazing, and it would have been an amazing looking fight scene. I'm just saying. It was an amazing fight scene. I doubt they will ever top. So, in theaters, when Captain America finally said, Avengers Assemble. I know I talked to you about this, but the fan theory for Jane having cancer is because she had the oobleck in her.
Yeah.
so long.
I know, you told me that.
If you remember, it was sort of a throwaway line, or not really a throwaway line, but it was a line that Hulk said in Endgame, why he should snap is because the stones give off gamma radiation. So that's why he didn't really get affected like Tony did. Tony got killed by snapping. Wanda had the reality stone in her an extended period of time. Essentially, she had gamma radiation in her. I'm guessing minimum of a week. I'm guessing. They never really said how long.
Oh, Jane?
Jane. Or how long Dark World was. This amount of time. And she had the reality stone in her the entire time, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Until the end. That's why people believe she got cancer. Which, I mean, it makes sense.
Back to the kids. So some of these kids are, like, young.
Yeah, like 2 years old.
Like, our son is nearly 2. I don't want to think about that sentence that just came out of my mouth. And, like, I can't imagine him in a battle like this. Like, he'd be, like, so confused. Ugh.
And he just told the kids, grab a weapon. Just find whatever you have on the ground.
Like,
and today, you are warriors! And then, like, the lightning went out. And it sort of looked like the world tree. The lightning empowering the weapons looked cool.
So then Thor almost gets stabbed by the Necrosword. And Jane arrives and basically, like, smashes the
sword.
The hammer onto the ground. And it, like, disintegrates.
No, so Thor was holding the sword up in the air with the lightning bolts. And Jane broke the sword. But the sword was rebuilding, so she trapped the sword in Mjolnir, charged it up and slammed that, and that shattered the sword.
And then they send Axel home with the kids using, like, he tosses him Stormbreaker.
Yes.
Which basically means anyone can use Stormbreaker.
Which, all the Asgardian weapons are built for the Asgardian. So, like, Mjolnir is built for those who are worthy to get the power of Thor. Other people have used Mjolnir in the past, kind of like Captain America can, because he's worthy. Jane, I wouldn't really say she's worthy.
I mean, there's literally a line at the end of the movie that says, like, she taught everybody what it means to be worthy.
Jane taught Thor how to be worthy, so, I see that. But, I don't know.
So then they step into eternity. What bugs me about this scene, has nothing to do with the actual content of the scene, but, you know, it's me. The scene, this whole soundstage is, like, covered in, like, a thin layer of water, right?
Uh-huh.
Nobody's closer.
Because they're just standing on it. They're not standing in the water. It's supposed to be, like, a reflective mirror.
But it, like, bugs me that it looks like their feet are, like, in the water. But, like, nobody's clothes are wet.
They're in, like, another realm. So maybe that realm, the water just doesn't make clothes wet? I don't know.
I'm specifically speaking about the actors. Not necessarily in world.
But, like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, it was bugging me the whole scene because Jane is wearing, like, she's wearing, like, very, like, light colored pajamas. So if they get wet, they're gonna be, like, see-through.
But I don't think it's actual real water in the realm.
I don't know, it was bugging me. And I know I shouldn't be fixated on something like that, but it was driving me crazy.
I just like how Eternity looked. Eternity looked identical to the comic book counterpart.
It also kind of looked, this is gonna be really weird, but welcome to my brain. It looked a little bit like the Truman Show at the very end, when it's like he's like that like he basically goes to the end of the world, so to speak.
No, I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, it's the start of the universe.
You know what I'm saying, though? He essentially learns that the whole thing is fake. Oh. Spoiler alert for Truman Show. I think everybody knows that, though.
I've never seen Truman Show, and I really don't have an interest to have really.
That movie is so good. But that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's specifically the way that the scene is, like, composed with the water and the blue. Like,
it's not the end of the world. It's the center of the universe.
It's just the way that the shot looks. Gore basically is wishing for his daughter.
His original wish was to kill all gods, and what you seek is Thor says what you seek is love. You don't seek vengeance. Not vengeance, not anger, but love.
And then Jane goes to Valhalla.
We get Thor's niece?
No, so then Gore dies.
Yes.
And
his wish was to bring back his daughter. To see his daughter one last time.
Yep. And then we go back to New Asgard, and Valkyrie is making all the kids take self-defense lessons, which I think is really sweet.
Civ is missing an arm, which in Norse mythology doesn't make sense because it's Tyr. I kind of wish they introduced more of the Norse gods. In Norse mythology, Tyr loses an arm to Fenrir. In Norse mythology, Loki put Fenrir's soul into his knife, and then he put it into a bigger wolf.
So then Thor raises the little girl, who we don't know her name, I don't think.
She's just called Love.
Yeah, and she calls him Uncle Thor. And there's this just like really sweet interaction where he makes her pancakes, or what do they call him? Pan flaps?
Pan flaps, or pan flops?
I think it's pan flaps.
Maybe.
And she draws a face on Mew Mew, and
she has powers.
It's just really sweet. And we learned that they are known as Love and Thunder.
Yes. Originally, people thought she was going to be Thor's kid. Like, when she was first, like, credited in the movie, like, on IMDb, she didn't have a name. Or she did. I don't remember what it was. It was just filler. And people assumed that was going to be Thor's kid. Because Thor does have a kid in the comics.
Yeah.
So people assumed that kid was going to be his and Jane's.
I don't know.
That's not going to happen since Jane's dead.
It was so sweet to see him as a dad of sorts.
And what was it? Instead of a dad or sad bod, he's now
a god bod. He has a dad.
Instead of being a sad god, he's now a dad god. And this is Korg telling us that. I'm like, that's funny.
So then the end credit sequence is Zeus talking.
Or the two. One of the end scene credits was Jane talking to Heimdall in Valhalla, and then the second one
is Zeus talking to Hercules. Which does that mean? That is so weird. Like
all the Greek gods are in Marvel Comics. Zeus is an Avenger. Or not Zeus, sorry, Hercules is an Avenger. All the gods are in both. DC and...
Obviously, it's not super, like, mythology accurate, but my brain automatically goes to the Disney movie Hercules.
That's pretty... his trials in it...
It's not 100%.
The trials are accurate. The order of the trials that he had to do...
That movie is so underrated, it's not even funny.
No, it is not underrated. What are you talking about?
It is... for a Renaissance movie, is incredibly underrated.
For me, the Disney go Beauty and the Beast.
Are we really ranking Disney
Emperor's New Groove
movies?
No, I was just saying Disney movies in general. Beauty and the Beast, Emperor's New Groove, Hercules.
Oh, it's in your top 3, huh?
Yeah. I like Hercules, but also I like Danny DeVito.
I don't know. I can't rank them, to be completely honest with you. Like, they all have, like, a different...
But here's the thing. Beauty and the Beast and Emperor's New Groove rotates for me.
They have a different...
Depends on the mood I'm in.
I can't rank them because they don't... I have a different favorite for different moods.
Like, if I want to watch something funny and silly, Emperor's New Groove. But if I want to watch something nostalgic, Beauty and the Beast.
If I want to, like, dance and listen to good music, Hercules.
Emperor's New Groove has good music in it. It has one good song in it. It has two good songs in it.
Is that my voice? Is that my voice? Anyway, I don't know why we got off on that tangent.
Yeah.
They are making a live-action Hercules. Like, Disney live-action Hercules. And I'm so excited about it.
Are they going to butcher like they did Mulan?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I'm sorry if you liked the live-action Mulan.
I don't think anyone does, so it's safe.
But I know it's more historically accurate to the real Mulan.
I don't know anybody that has done anything good about it.
But I prefer the Disney one because it has Mushu.
I'll never get over the fact that the singing voice of Li Shang is Donny Osmond, and the speaking voice is B.D. Wong, a.k.a. Dr. Huang from Under Arrest.
Vastly different people that sound different. I mean, it's the same thing for, like, Nightmare Before Christmas. Danny Elfman is the singing voice. And I do not remember who the acting voice is for Jack Skellington. But for people who did not know this, Shock, the Oogie Boogie kids, is
Shock, Lock, and Awe?
I think so, or something like the Oogie Boogie gang is Mora from Schitt's Creek.
Catherine O'Hara.
Danny
She's
Elfman,
also the mom in Home Alone.
Yes. And Pee Wee Herman. one of the 3 voices for the
Oogie Woogie Gang.
Yes, and I just learned that maybe 3 weeks ago because I watched the 25th anniversary concert on YouTube, and I didn't know Pee Wee Herman was one of the voices.
Okay, so that is the wrap on Thor: Love and Thunder.
He went on so many tangents.
I don't know how this video is going to end up shaking out.
I better leave them all in.
So not next week. The
next episode.
The next episode will be on. Is that Wakanda Forever?
We will figure out what we're going to do in that week. We may just do a random movie.
We haven't quite figured that out yet because we have to wait until Wakanda Forever goes up on Disney Plus
January 30th.
So it might have a one-off next week. We'll keep you guys.
Or the next episode.
The next episode. Sorry, I'm so used to saying next week. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. And sorry, go ahead.
No, if we do have time to put an episode up every week, we will. But right now, we are just focusing on every other.
It's quality over quantity, friends.
Yes. But if we do find the time to do a one-off or something, we will. But there's no promises. But we will still do every other week. And we will post, when we figure out our 2023 schedule, we'll post it somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where right now, just to get a general idea for you guys.
Yeah.
And if you have any movie recommendations that you want us to do.
We have a couple of spaces.
We have the entire end of the year completely empty.
Then the last quarter.
Yeah.
We really wanted, especially if you guys have recommendations for spooky movies that are not scary.
I mean, December's going to be Christmas movies.
Yeah, we're going to do Christmas movies, classic Christmas movies. But we really want to do movies that I really want to do a month of B horror movies that are more funny and campy.
Silly September.
I would love to cover what I'm referring to in my brain as Mithrigan.
We are going to be covering Scream this year since Scream 6 comes out.
And we both just really like Scream. So
we're trying to figure out when. Because when Scream 6 comes out is our Mystery March. So, slight spoils, we're doing the Knives Out
and Glass Onion.
Yes, so we're doing the Knives Out movie series, and we're doing also the Murder Oriental Express and Death on the Nile.
Yeah.
We're doing both of those for March, because those are both mystery movies.
I think for Nostalgic November, we're doing the National Treasure. Stay tuned for what our next episode will be. I don't know about it at this point in time.
It should be, it was on 16th, so the 30th.
We will see you in the next episode.
Bye.
If you would like to support this podcast, you could follow us on Instagram at thefanclub_podcast or on Twitter at fanclub_podcast. You can also support us on Patreon for bonus content and get ad-free episodes a whole day early. All of our socials are linked on our Linktree, which is linktr.ee/thefanclubpodcast. The Needlessly Nerdy Podcast Network is a conglomerate of podcasts and blogs that provide entertainment, news, and reviews about all things nerdy, including movies, TV shows, books, video games, tabletop games, cons, pop culture, and more. The mission is to create a safe community of nerds and geeks from across the world. Go check them out at needlesslynerdy.com.
The Needlessly Nerdy Podcast Network, your source for all things nerdy.
www.needlesslynerdy.com.